Hello, everybody. Welcome to another installment of Show to Be with Mike G, the show of life, the show of not life, the show of the dead, the show of the undead. Yes, it is part 2 of our Halloween horror movie series, or week at Show to Be, and we're going to conclude with two fine gentlemen, Mr. Trey Jenkins and Michael Phillips, both wonderful cocktologists and have a affinity for horror movies, again taking place in a back booth at King B on a dark Monday evening. Each of these guys give us 3 more titles, and it gives us, again, an insight into their psyche and the kinds of things that really make them tick. Some good Ridley Scott, but finally John Carpenter makes an entrance to our list, and it's going to be great. I hope you guys get spooked, and I hope it gets you more in the spirit of Halloween. So without further ado, I hope you guys enjoyed this chat with Trey Jenkins and Michael Phillips.
I watch some horror movies, but I don't know. To me, like, Halloween's almost an extension of cosplay.
Oh, really?
Like, you dress up as a comic book character.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
I think it's the weather changes for me,
yeah.
and then that makes me go into a different kind of mood.
Right.
I go back to almost like a childlike state, you know?
Yeah.
But you're a fan of horror movies, then
yeah.
I take it.
Yeah,
so
completely.
I can't even begin to guess what's on your list. So we got 3 movies. I've asked all of you guys to come up with 3 titles you think are effective or whatever, your own criteria. What is the first title for you?
Well, it's funny because you have to look at this. You're like, do I want to sound cool when I say it? Or is this...
Exactly.
Do I pick a personal one?
Right.
You know, for me, it's Alien.
Alien?
Yep.
The original?
Yep.
Ridley
the original.
Scott. 78 or 77?
Yeah.
Yeah, 78. Yeah. Okay, that really is an effective movie.
Yeah.
Give me a quick synopsis for those of the people who have not seen fucking Alien. What is the synopsis?
A space crew goes into space, finds something it didn't expect, and in the form of an alien symbiote.
Mm-hmm. Fucks their shit up.
Yeah.
Pretty bad. So what is it? What is it? In space, nobody can hear you scream? That's a great tagline for Alien.
Because to me, what scares me most is what I don't know.
Yeah.
More so than what I understand. And, you know, you can have the big scary man out to get you. We know he's a big scary man out to get you. Space.
I know. Yeah, we know big scary men.
Yeah. Which I'm sure is still terrifying, but to me, it's like being taken out of your element and put somewhere where you don't understand how anything could possibly happen.
Yeah.
You know? It's also the atmosphere created in that movie as well.
What about it works for you? I mean, it's space for one, so it's obviously desolate.
They just use the shadows perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how else to say it, but the shadows
it is
perfect. You know,
because it's what you don't see that scares you.
Yeah, always.
How do you feel about the alien form itself? Giger doing his crazy.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Shit.
Like him. It goes back to something that you can't look at that and understand how that alien body works and functions.
Yeah.
You have no. It's
why the jaws?
Yeah.
Right. Why the acid blood?
The spinal cord that's sticking out.
Yeah. What the fuck?
Yeah.
It's like an S&M Hellraiser nightmare.
The long brain.
Yeah.
Is that even a long brain?
Right.
Yeah.
When did you first see Alien?
don't know. It was probably later, actually. I was probably like,
Were you an adult
later,
already?
like maybe 15, 16.
Yeah.
Because
That's pretty young. I mean,
yeah.
you know.
I mean, I went in it really quick, though, so I didn't watch that many movies. I was big on RoboCop when I was a kid for some reason.
Oh, shit, yeah.
But when I was older, I had a friend that worked at Blockbuster,
Uh-huh.
and he was a film nerd, and he would just give me movies after movie after movie. So I ran the gauntlet pretty quick of the classics, you know.
Right.
I think that's also a movie where most movies in that format, you're like, everybody's going to die, and everybody probably, you know, it's like, we know where this is going.
Right.
As soon as that alien popped out of his chest, I'm like, everybody's dying. Nobody's getting out of this. No.
We're all fucked.
We can't win, you know. But, no, I think that combined with the atmosphere and you know, the whole everybody's going to die format's been done since then, but you never always feel like you know where it's going to go. You know who's going to survive. Like, even Ridley, you're kind of like, yeah, she's badass, but I don't know. Ridley.
I don't know if she can do it either, especially with the shitty underwear. That's the thing. That thing still plagues me.
Yeah.
It's all about, you know, my mom rented, I remember the Fox 20th Century VHS.
Right.
My mom rented it. I watched it. And immediately when the alien, and I couldn't have been more than 6 years old. Immediately when that alien jumped out of John Hurt's stomach and he spits up food, I screamed and ran upstairs and went to bed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a terrifying fucking movie.
And from there, it's like, oh, we're in space, cool. And then it's like, not cool at all.
Not good.
Yeah, like from there.
I can't get out of here. Like, I'm stuck with this fucking thing, right?
That's another thing that's scary about it. Like, you're there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
You know?
Nowhere except the grave.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's good. All right, so that's good. A lot of people consider it sci-fi, but when you think about the shadows and you think about the makeup and just how terrifying that fucking alien is, this is horror.
Oh, yeah.
It's fine.
It's sci-fi horror, like, completely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gritty, too. Like, it does gore, but not in a way where you notice it.
Yeah.
You know?
So, all right, well, this is it's a perplexing start. Great movie. Ridley Scott has only honed the skill even more since Alien. But, all right, what is number 2 for you?
Like I said, I'm kind of going personal with this.
Yeah,
For me, Ringu.
Wait, what?
Ringu.
Oh, Ringu. Oh, the original one.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
So I think it goes along more with what I don't understand. That's a culture I didn't really understand at the time when I saw it, and I didn't understand how they saw death and how they saw what would actually haunt you. So I think that a little bit scared me too. You know?
Yeah, the unknown again, but in a different kind of
in
sense.
a cultural way.
Yeah.
You know?
What? The noises are scary.
Yeah.
Too,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
When did you first see that? Did you come upon that later too?
Yeah, I mean, you hit that. I think we've actually talked about it. We hit that point where you start to look at foreign films and you start to pay attention to what they're doing.
Because they're often way fucking creepier than than American stuff.
Yeah. And even the American was creepy. Like,
yeah, it's actually quite good.
Yeah, it's really good. But yeah, it's more that unknown, how the culture sees like what evil is.
Yeah.
You know? And the idea of something coming back from the grave. It's done in zombies. It's done in everything. Like,
but that's kind of kitschy almost.
Yeah.
Right.
But the idea of it's like it's now us versus them. When we die,
Yeah.
you're now them. You know. Like,
Oh shit.
yeah.
That's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking about, you know, these lists that you guys have compiled. I try to think of these common themes. So Billy's got this theme of isolation and the lack of control.
Okay.
Right? Body
Yeah.
being taken over. You're like isolation, or not rather not isolation, but the unknown. What is lurking around that corner? What is this thing that I've never seen before?
Things
How
that I
do-
don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deep space? What the fuck's out in deep space?
Yeah.
I don't know. What comes out, because the well is still a common theme with the original Ringu as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
and the VHS and all this
Right.
kind of thing. Did you see it on VHS?
I don't remember where I actually saw it first.
That'd be the ultimate continuum.
Yeah, right. that too, and like the idea of evil coming out of violence. Too.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
That's what kind of
Because it's a murder, right? Give
Yeah, it's
me
a murder, yeah.
refresh my memory. It's been a long time since I've seen Ringu and the Ring with Ringu once, but
I think it's her father or something kills her and throws her in the well.
Yeah.
I think he might kill the family. I don't know if I'm mixing up that and what was the one? Grudge.
oh, the Grudge.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, another one in the
Yeah.
same kind of creepy ass vein.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I think they were filming it at the time. I forget
They're
the
around
specifics.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it was it was filmed her going in the well, and she found a way to possess things through like technology, through this tape.
Do you think because technology was not the same? Because I think this is probably 2000-ish. Oh no! It had to have been earlier than that, huh? Because
I think that's when the
Gore
American one came out.
Yeah, the Gore Verbinski one came out later. Now I think it. Why do you think that? Because I think a lot of people try to make technology this scary thing. Mm-hmm. It was scary then. Because VHS is scary.
Yeah.
It breaks. You don't know what it's going to do. It's fuzzy.
Yeah.
But now, why does technology not seem so scary?
Have you seen Black Mirror at all?
I haven't. The TV show, right? The BBC show?
They make it scary as hell.
They make it scary again?
Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect.
You might want to, I
do want to check it out.
Yeah, it takes where technology is heading.
Yeah.
And basically tells like, and it's not like horror, it's not scary, it's more psychological.
Yeah.
Kind of like the original Twilight Zone kind of thing.
Which I love, yeah.
They're not scary. They're just tales of horror in the true sense of the word. Not scary, but
yeah. There's like, this could actually happen.
Yeah.
You could be stuck on the planet by yourself and your glasses break and you can't read a goddamn book.
Yeah.
That can't happen.
Yeah.
All right, so this is good. This is a good list. All right, so you go Japanese. Well, you got the science fiction horror with alien. You've got Ringu, the Japanese kind of ghost story, which is a very, very traditional element in film for Japan. And what is... I can't guess. There's no way I could put money on the table and I can't guess what number 3 would be.
I've struggled with this. There's a few, but I think for me, The Fly.
Oh, which one? The 80s?
Cronenberg. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum, Gina Davis.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Just because that's another person when I saw when I kid, and it puts themes in your head when you're a kid that you don't quite understand. Like even Back to the Future, when I was a kid, I didn't understand what was happening in that movie.
Right.
But when I'm older, I'm like, oh, this is brilliant. You know.
Can you think of any of those themes? Even as
me,
you see them now?
Yeah, to me, like it showed me that you shouldn't, like playing with nature and technology combined is a very dangerous thing.
The Titanic, right?
Yeah.
You can't beat nature.
Yeah. Just the idea of trying to play with nature through technology and what the horrible possibilities that could lead to, you know.
How do you feel about what is a wonderful thread through most of Cronenberg's movies, the process of losing your body to something else?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Is it so creepy and kind of crawly, you know?
Well, even when I watch zombie movies, I think, like, what would that feel like? What would that process feel like, knowing that you're losing, you know, like that moment when you wake up, do you even feel anything?
Yeah.
Like, is there a process that happens?
Is that sincerely scary to you? That all of a sudden you wake up and your arm now has hair on it and bristles like a fly.
Yeah, because you know it's like, oh, it's not going to get good from here. It's like a bad rash. You know,
you don't become more attractive.
Yeah, yeah. Like,
well,
this is obviously something bad that's going to happen to the rest of me. Like, you know,
yeah. It's interesting because I'm trying to see like the unknown again, right?
Yeah.
Because you're like, well, okay, I get it. I'm turning into a fly, but what does that now entail?
Yeah.
My teeth are gonna fall out. Oh fuck.
And do you devolve? Do you evolve? Like
your
mind, like your mental process? What happens?
Do you still recognize the people you once loved, even though you're no longer that?
Which was a theme through the movie. You know?
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Especially, I mean, because he ultimately loved Gina Davis, I think. You know.
Yeah.
But then couldn't express it anymore.
Yeah.
God, you didn't see the sequel, did you?
No.
You're better off.
I don't think so.
Do you ever see the original one with Vincent Price?
I actually haven't.
It's good too, but same concept, right?
Yeah, it doesn't have the Cronenberg pizzazz behind it.
Where you lose your body and you turn into something else, and something else has control over you and takes your limbs bone by bone.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Well, that's good. So, you still watch these? These ones you kind of revisit as an adult?
Yeah. I actually watch Alien a lot.
Do you really?
Yeah. I don't know why. I just love the pacing, the atmosphere.
Yeah. It's a good action movie.
Yeah.
Any other kinds of ritual is the word I'm looking for Halloween? I mean, you talk about like, well, people are just dressing up and stuff, but any movies that you go back to year over year rather?
Man, it's not a horror movie. I do Nightmare Before Christmas just because you kind of have to.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. Good songs.
Yeah. No, I don't really actively go towards a horror movie.
Yeah.
You know? Probably should.
Well,
probably.
There's always time and place, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you want whiskey.
Yeah.
And you don't want to drink your rum.
Right.
So that's good. All right. So we got Alien, Ringu, and The Fly from 1986, I think.
Yeah.
Cronenberg, Ridley Scott. I mean, you get amazing directors in there. This is a good list. I think this covers a lot of genres, you know?
Yeah. And even the Fly and Alien are it's still a sci-fi, but in a different way.
But it's so it's so gross. Losing control.
When he starts dripping.
There's a hell of a lot of ooze in both of those. Yeah. Maybe that's the theme, Trey. There's lots of ooze. Yeah.
Lots of ooze.
If there's ooze, then it's
That's
good.
True. Yeah.
That you don't want to I don't feel like I want to show up to be I like pizza because it's great, right? Cheese and the top,
right?
It's really shallow. It's like how when's the last time I really thought about this? Or because either these are kind of when you kind of film semi-critique or self-introspection,
right,
whatever you want to do. This is like 2 a.m. talk.
That's right.
And it's 7:30 right now.
I know. I feel like we're
warm.
on inside the movie studio.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to put anybody in a place where they're uncomfortable.
No, I just don't want to sound like an asshole.
Let me sound like the asshole. Yeah. This is the greatest part. I'll land on the grenade for everybody.
Okay.
But I like the concept. One, where, in the back of King B, it's dark. The weather's getting chillier, which is lovely. The leaves are changing. Mm-hmm. And we had this conversation about, do I say something like that people should see because they've never seen it before and I want to be really on the edge? Or do I say shit that really resonates with me? So where did you go? Did you pick stuff that's just means something to you?
Yeah, I mean, I've obviously picked something that's, excuse me.
No, all right.
That obviously has affected me for some reason or another.
But that's even better.
And that's and those are obvious picks for me because I can at least maybe even just dig through my rationale and figure out why I went there to begin with. But
and so I've asked everybody. There's 4 of us that we're talking about horror movies. We've got a great list of 9 so far, and it'll be really strange if I rearrange these interviews in different orders. But 12 total. I've asked you as well to come up with 3 titles.
Sure.
So please enlighten me with title number 1.
Title number 1 is I'll just start off strong and biggest and most obvious.
There we go.
For things just to get warmed up. One of my favorites of all time is 1982's John Carpenter's The Thing.
Oh shit!
I know this is a real obvious one for a lot of people.
No. I think this is a dark horse. Because a lot of people, they're like, "Oh, it's that one that just came out, right?" No. Ennio Morricone scored. Mm-hmm. John Carpenter finally not doing the music for one of his films, even though he should.
Yeah.
Kurt Russell, right. Wilford Brimley. Mm-hmm. Okay, Michael, tell me what this movie is about. We know we both love it, but
okay. So the basic breakdown is that the movie is based off of an old novella from the 30s.
Yeah.
With John Campbell, who goes there. It was made
really?
It was made into a movie in 51 called The Thing from Another Planet.
That's right, yeah.
And it was also made into another movie in the 70s called Horror Express with Christopher Lee.
No shit.
It was terrible.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. It was this kind of locked on a train with The Thing. I mean, it was the same kind of idea where they were kind of stuck in a position where they had to deal with this weird entity.
Right.
And you couldn't escape. And so basically, John Carpenter went and kind of stuck a little more closely to the original novella, which is an Antarctic expedition. And basically, so long story short, it's there's an Antarctic science facility, and they at the beginning of the film, there's a helicopter flying of Norwegians flying through American territory in Antarctica, and they're hunting a dog for some weird reason. It gets shot down. They're trying to figure out what the hell happened with this whole thing. So they go make an expedition to the Norwegian science facility and find out the entire place is burnt down, the crew is dead. And
what the fuck's going on? Dogs getting killed.
Yeah, it just makes no sense. Like something went awry, and so basically it's sort of this dog infiltrates for whatever reasons. It's like a dog escaping. I'm losing track here, but
and infecting the crew, right?
Yeah, so
supposedly.
So this what seemingly benign situation where these guys trying to hunt what looks like a husky dog, blows up in their face, and the dog lives, and they take it in, whatever, and it ends up
because it's a dog, you love it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we're kind of obviously right off the bat, we're kind of going hey, why are you shitting at the fucking dog, man?
Right.
It's a little husky.
Your hands are up in the air already.
Yeah. So the story basically is about an alien entity that crashed some millions of years ago in the Antarctic, on the Earth, obviously, and its body's frozen and it's unearthed, and it's awoken.
Shapeshifter.
Yeah.
Is that the right
yeah.
word?
Well, so so it wakes up or whatever. It's unthawed, and then it starts doing what it has to do. And basically, the nature of the being is that it it's a shapeshifter of sorts.
Right.
It assimilates creatures, but it not only just shapeshifts, but it's able to use their memories and their thought processes. When it takes somebody, it takes all of them.
It is the most advantageous set of skills that an alien could have.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're stuck in the Antarctica. You've got Kurt Russell in what I think is his third John Carpenter. No. Yeah, third John Carpenter movie. Because he did Elvis and then Escape from New York and then The Thing. Why does this...
Big Trouble.
Well, that was 86 and this is 84, right?
It's 82.
82. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
New York was right before, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Okay,
so now this is good. We're going to get into some Carpenter kind of Michael, I don't know. Anyway. But why does this movie work for you? It works in a lot of levels for a lot of people, but for you, why?
I mean, to be obvious, and for a lot of reasons why it got panned, was its use of effects, practical effects.
Right.
I think the story in itself, outside of those effects, is still kind of fairly singular and flat. It's sort of somebody's infiltrated our group. Who's done it? Who's a human anymore?
Murder mystery, right?
Sure, but the approach to this one was really interesting. They got what's his name? I forget his name. Their effect artist Rob.
I don't know.
He did The Howling just before that, and I think he worked. I almost said stage. I'm so interested. He got a small part in The Fog as one of the the pirate creatures. That's how he got hired into Carpenter's crew.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he got hired on for the special effects and makeup and all that stuff, and he had this whole other approach. He was 21, 22 years old. He was a kid.
Yeah.
And he had this whole just fascinating approach to I guess his own interpretation of what monsters were. So they were sitting down or talking about he and John Carpenter sitting there talking about after he got hired, what's this thing going to be? What's going on?
Yeah.
No pun intended. And kind of, one of the great, things you do when you have some sort of monster or some sort of demon or something, you never really want them to be embodied. You never want to see the thing for what it is.
Interesting.
You don't you don't want to see the demon standing in front of you.
Right.
That's.
And that's a great point because in the thing, it's all just it takes on forms totally different forms, but only a part of a form.
Yeah. So I mean, you see the thing if you see the creature, whatever it is, for the first time, and it is the embodiment of what it is as a creature, how it was born, how it is forever.
Yeah.
It's your wad is blown and you're just running away from it.
Good point. Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. So he kind of goes and he takes these different routes into this creature. Obviously, assimilates and embodies all sorts of different things. And who knows how many thousands of years or whatever it's been doing this. So it has all this insane experience. So you're watching this and you're seeing these scenes where you're not even when I watch it for the 100th time, I'm still in anticipation of watching these scenes. I'm I don't understand how the fuck. So they have a scene where one of their comrades is down and they have to use a defibrillator to get
yes. Oh my God, it's amazing.
Chest scene,
yeah.
And so when you watch it every single time, it still fucking gets me. But it's so the guy's busting down on a defibrillator, trying to get him to come alive, and he punches in again, and like his entire chest opens up.
Turns to a mouth.
It turns into a mouth of jagged teeth and rips his arms off, and the guy dies. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
That's amazing.
And then out of that, the chest is open, and like tentacles are coming out, and this head comes out. And it's got, like,
that is the weird.
It's got like tentacles coming out of its head.
It's like The Exorcist at that point.
It's not even. But the craziest part of all that, what really got me on all of those things, because there's a dozen of those scenes where you see, like this point of imagination where it's just so unexpected,
right?
You know, a head sprouting legs and walking upside down and screaming and shit. It's just it seems it's campy when you talk about it,
but it looks
if you've
amazing.
Seen it, it's kind of fucking terrifying.
It's incredibly terrifying.
And so, like, all of that in itself is sort of like you're not kind of like stuck with kind of a typical monster, you know? It keeps taking and changing form.
You don't know what to expect.
And you don't know how it's going to attack every single time.
When did you first see this movie?
I saw it probably when I was like 9 or 10 years old.
Amazing. We have the same story.
Yeah.
Well, I was a little bit later. So, and I always I'm interjecting because it's this interesting thing. But so my parents were going to a high school reunion for my mom in San Francisco. We're staying at some random place. My dad's like, here's $20. Let's rent a movie. You guys can order a pizza. Like, hey, Sean, my younger brother, what should we get? The Thing. Oh, saw it when I was like 11. Fucking terrifying. See, on VHS is the only way to see it. Oh, yeah. Right? And do you watch it every year?
I watch it probably a couple of times a year.
That's amazing.
It's one of those kind of go-tos where it's like late at night and I'm just like, I need to watch something, and like I'll just that's one of those default in a stack of like 20 movies that I'll watch all the time.
Not only do I feel in terms of tone and music it's perfect, but the ending still is one of these things. Do you have any idea who was the alien?
There's theories, and I never really bit hard on that whole kind of conspiracy side of it, because there's it's all cut shots, and there are people who have different like feelings of how like child is obviously the thing.
Yeah,
like Keith David, played by Keith David, and like some people like go, well, Kurt Russell's character McCready is like obviously breathing like frost, and the other one is not.
Right.
Like, this is obvious. Or there's like a motion where he like hands him a bottle, and it's like that's supposed to be like this kind of like tipping kind of point where something. Or
right.
And some people think like the end of it was kind of lazy because it left it ambiguous, but like there was a point where I can see like, they meet up again. The camp is burning down, and McCready looks at Charles. Is like, "Where were you?" He was like, "Oh, I was around."
Yeah,
it was kind of
like, was around.
It was
like,
sort of. It's like, oh, was it lazy and flat, or was it intentional?
Yeah,
like,
of course,
can go
it's
so many different ways.
Yeah, but that is the sign of a brilliant movie, and that we're still talking about it almost 30 years later. Well, actually, over 30 years later.
I think the creepiest part about the entire situation is not even just like the gore and the theatrics and just that sort of paranoid theme. I'll go back to it again. Why I say like the special effects of it really, really fascinated me, because you have this situation where you have an outside force, like I say, assimilating and trying to imitate human beings. So. And dogs as well, but you're watching these scenes and they don't cut away from anything. You get to watch entire gory transformations happening. Yeah, and they happen 3 or 4 times throughout the film, and like for me, it kind of like boils down to that kind of uncanny valley between what we see, what we understand, what we're familiar with, and watching it transform into something
we have never seen and don't know what to see. Yeah,
it's the same, but it's still grotesque, and it's like it just like bothers the shit out of me.
You're making. I love it because you just sold the movie for me again, and I watch it every year. Yeah. Finally watched it with Thea last year, and we loved it. I mean, it's an incredible movie. Yeah. All right, this is good. This is a great way to start, Michael.
It's too strong.
It's too strong. No, it's just.
I'm gonna bullshit the rest of my way through.
You're going to go Hitchcock or something, I'm sure.
Never.
So, number 2 of the 3, what do we got?
Oh.
And you pretend like you're not prepared for this, but I know you know what movie it is.
I've been juggling a bunch of them in my head, and see, this is like where the problem is with me. Is like how the defining the entire spectrum of what horror is.
Right.
Which there's some parts of horror that I find kind of odd and stupid and
Right.
romantic, and it's like it's one of those huge genres that doesn't make any sense to anybody, and everybody thinks that it's a scary film. But I think there's a lot of different approaches to that.
You've got me aroused, Michael.
Well, I hope I can finish you. I've had a big crush on Let the Right One In for a long time.
It's an amazing movie.
I don't know
isn't
that
it?
it's horror.
It is.
Horror,
It's horror.
but
It counts.
I find it really romantic. I
It
find it
is.
beautiful and romantic. I don't see anything like, you know what
This
I mean?
speaks to your vulnerable and sensitive innermost workings, Michael. Now,
Okay.
I love it. It's one of the greatest movies in the past 20 years, if not ever. Right?
Yeah.
Give me a synopsis for those of us who've only seen Let Me In, which is the American
Sure.
remake, which apparently is quite good as well.
It's actually pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. Basically, it's a story of this young boy who runs into a weird, unlikely friend. He's kind of an outcast, as it is.
Mm-hmm.
And this young, looks like a young girl moves into his apartment building with her guardian or caretaker.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a couple of weird exchanges, and he kind of figures out she's not what she seems. But his kind of like oddness is kind of not like just endearing. You feel kind of sad for him because he gets bullied a lot. And he
Gets
gets
beat
fuck
up
with
and
them all
stuff,
the time.
Yeah.
But he still has like a good spirit to him, and you know he meets a weird friend, and they kind of like take to each other, and you know, long and short of that, he lets he accepts a new friend even though he's kind of a damaged soul.
It's like a coming of age prepubescent movie. If you
Yeah.
think about it, just kind of like almost like what's the one with the kids? The Stand By
Kids?
Me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Not
like
kids.
not kids, not kids. no, but like people going through these things together. He's awkward, she's awkward. Is she a she or is she a man? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
But it turns out she is a vampire,
Right.
and they kind of form this bond. What about it works for you? Now it's a really amazing love story in a way, or a friendship story. But why does this resonate with you?
I mean, you're dealing with two characters. Obviously, one is young, one is of a questionable age.
Sure,
Obviously, as a
good point.
vampire, who knows? But just to find some like, you find two people. It isn't even horror, but obviously this is two people finding a genuine relationship and dealing with a lot of alienation and just kind of like this ambiguity of like who they are. I mean, they're both kind of both characters seem semi-sexual, ambiguous, and kind of
right.
But they're children,
androgynous,
but
right.
it's not important.
But still, like
they
they're
don't take
opposite sex-ish, right? So
they don't take on the obvious roles of those kinds of things, but
Yeah.
they form a kind of an interesting bond. But you know, I think the horror aspects of it are kind of interesting. Is that as intelligent and fascinating as Yali is, it's like has to feed, and you have
Right.
to go through these steps of it, and it's like
right, the necessary evil of being
Yeah.
a vampire,
right.
amidst what is a normal relationship between two kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
Do you feel like it is a true and honest love story?
I don't.
Not to throw you off guard.
No.
I promise.
I mean, I haven't really thought about it, so I'm riffing it anyways. But
How about this? Let me
I
rephrase it.
don't-
It's a
yeah.
very beautiful and touching movie, but why? Why is it touching? Because I think that's a good word for it. It's it's heartwarming in the way that those guys connect.
I think you
the main
see
characters.
at the point where there's each character who is, and there's only two. They're eventually caregivers.
Yeah.
For a creature, and find a way of relating to it, and not being tricked into like being a caregiver necessarily, but
Yeah.
forming a real bond with somebody, and it's kind of broken because at the end of it, like being the caregiver is giving yourself to what seems to deem to be fate at some point or another, whether or
Yeah.
not you're doing it, and you're doing it. It's kind of you're kind of fighting for somebody, but you're like knowingly taking other things to. It's kind of this weird kind of. It comes back to being like semi-selfish in a way.
Yeah.
Like it's. I don't know.
Do you?
I haven't really
Man.
thought hard about it. Obviously,
No, but it does because it touches this place. it touches like they love each other.
Yeah.
Now whether they're in love and it's romantic, it doesn't really matter. But you have this honest, pure connection and love of one another. Not because there's expectation. They're kids.
Right.
But that's the thing that's really beautiful about it is you can sense this really honest connection between them.
Well, they've revealed themselves in a natural kind of way, and that's
exactly.
I think that's
right.
what's more romantic to me and important to me outside the actual natural gore of like the final scene, which is kind of fucking amazing.
Which is an amazing scene in a pool, right?
It's kind of it's kind of like the end of what was it like Neverending Story, like. Yeah. The fucking bully kid finally gets the good friends and everything is great and they go and they fuck everybody up. Except this time people die.
Yes.
And it was pretty in a pretty horrible way. But it was a really unexpected scene too, which kind of really, I guess, sort of semi-solidified why it was kind of horrific and horrible.
It is. It is a horror movie.
Beautiful.
But it is beautiful. I don't know that there's been a movie quite like that before, not to oversell it, but that is so beautiful and heartwarming and just honest, but at the same time really brutal. There's not a lot of stuff like that. Well, this is good, man. So this is you're the true intellectual of the bunch, Michael.
No.
Well, the thing, crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
Let the Right One In is an amazing, and it's a Dutch, Swedish. I can't remember what. It's a foreign language film. Just for those of you that might not want to watch something with subtitles, just fucking do it. It's beautiful. It is. So, all right. Well, this is good. It's a good list. So number 3 for you, you seem like you're going through some inner turmoil to identify the movie that works for you. What is number 3 for you?
Rosemary's Baby, I guess.
Really?
That's
Rosemary's Baby is an insane movie. Polanski firmly planting himself as one of the finest filmmakers. This is 1969, I think.
Yes.
Mia Farrow.
It's right at the end of the 60s.
A lot of actors that you see that are in movies now.
John Cassavetes.
That's right, the legendary director, and the dude that's in Trading Places is the doctor, and I can't remember his fucking name.
Me neither.
Yes. Mr. Newman. I don't know. Yes. So give me a rundown for Rosemary's Baby, because you're going classic here.
I didn't mean to go classic.
No, but that's
look
great.
At it like kind of occult wise, kind of being raised Catholic and all that, and the devil and Satan have always been kind of like fascinating,
right?
Because you were never allowed to like play with that sort of subject.
Yeah.
And this one was kind of like it was almost like softcore porn of like the satanic kind of devil genre and occult genre.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, very like striking and I guess. You want to get like really sociological with it and political with it. Very relevant.
Tell me.
It was right around the same time what The Pill came out. Probably like not even like 5 to 6 years ago.
I don't know that.
I don't know my dates very well,
but
it was right around the same time in the 60s.
Sexual liberation, this kind of thing, right?
Feminist movement.
Yeah.
First big movements of that, and you have this film made in the late 60s of a guy and his wife moving into like Upper West Side apartment, and they don't fit it at all. Like he's obviously they're trying to climb a ladder, and the social ladder and financial ladder, and just kind of like trying to make themselves. And they move into this building, and it's a lot of old tenants and oddball people, but they seem all kind of like well connected types and
old money.
Yeah, old money, exactly. And he kind of gets caught up in that whole, like he's obviously climbing and trying to make a better life for the two of them, and she's kind of a really simple, meek, basic housewife.
Yeah, but cute,
she's just making
right?
her way.
Mia
and doing her thing. It's real classic, and they're trying to like start their own kind of like semi-nuclear family in the middle of New York. Which isn't a nuclear family at all. But anyways, besides that. He colludes with all these people who are going to like connect him and make him a big shot, and like they're opening all these doors for him, but like there's bargaining going with that. And, the end of the line, they have to spawn the freaking Antichrist, and
it's like, all right. You want partner? You can make partner, Mr.
You can have anything you want.
You can have anything you want.
Yeah.
We just need a small favor. Oh, sure, boss.
Yeah.
What's the favor?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we need to make your wife not think she's crazy and make her drink some crazy tea so she can give birth to the Antichrist.
Pretty much.
That is
Everything the Devil's Advocate was not.
That's right. It's
It was a terrible remake of that in a sort of different way.
But that same concept of Mia Farrow stuck in the apartment or the condo, whatever, and going slightly and incrementally insane,
but gently insane on that.
Right.
Yeah.
But it
Just bored.
Did you feel bad? I felt so bad for her because she wanted a baby, not the
Yeah.
Antichrist, but.
Yeah.
But at what cost, right? Like she's stuck at home dealing with like this older woman neighbor and stuff.
Yeah, it wasn't on her terms, and it was like really old world.
Yeah.
Like kind of like you move into a neighborhood, and it's like you're married now and you have children. Like
Right.
they're pressing all of these old kind of standards on
Right,
you.
right.
And certainly, yeah, but not I don't want to get devil raped, and that whole scene itself is
God damn.
too much.
It is, right.
But it's it's kind of burnt into my brain where
Right.
it's kind of
for 69 to think that kind of scene existed. That's way more harsh
for sure.
and just gritty than most of the stuff that comes out. That's intentionally trying to be violent.
And so like that in itself, like the shock of that is really fascinating and horrible.
Yeah.
But I think the entire like kind of some of the closing scenes where they're all in the apartment and everybody's standing around and everybody's wearing black and everybody's very like frosted and
Right.
weird. Like there's this odd like glare to the entire scene. Like it has this, and everybody's like speaking in these weird. They're not
tongues almost.
Yeah,
right?
they're not chanting, but there's these tongues.
Right,
yeah,
right.
there's all this weird shit going on, and it's sort of like to look at it in sort of sense like you go like I go like it's like yes it's a bunch of Satanists and whatever. And that's supposed to be the shocking, creepy part. But the creepier part, deservedly, is sort of like the idea that these old world values, no matter what your religion, are really being pressed on people.
Right.
And being pressed on women. I see that now in 2016.
Yeah.
Like,
so it's actually
that's
just
real.
as well. I mean, we're just off this debate where another woman is marginalized, even though
Sure.
she might be one of the most powerful women in the world, or at least the political world. You got some orangutan doing some shit. But I think that's really interesting talking about. Do you think do you think Polanski's trying to say that women just far too often are being cast aside for the sake of their husbands' careers, the male agenda? Like, or is it more about just how creepy it is to not have control of your body and just give birth to the
I think it's
Antichrist?
kind of probably all of the above, but I think it's also oddly subconscious since he has some oddly rapist tendencies.
Yeah.
Who's kind of I don't want to say like a complex character to give it kind of a pass, but
Right.
he's obviously a very strange person.
Yeah.
But given his past, it's kind of hard to say. You kind of like put the two between outside politics and what you're putting into your film or writing. But
Yeah. It's an interesting one.
I think we sort of become conscious whether or not we realize it in writing these things about some basic social issues that are obviously kind of pulsing through our veins
Right.
on a daily basis, and not it being sort of a very obvious protest to any sort of
yeah.
any sort of agendas, but
Well, so this is
it definitely reveals itself for some reason.
Yeah. I don't know what it was like to live in 1969. I can't imagine that it was all that much different, regrettably, than it is now, or at least in the wake of what's kind of been going on recently. But we're talking The Thing, Let the Right One In, and then Rosemary's Baby, two of which are classics and one of which is I consider a modern classic. We have now assembled the perfect list of horror movies for people, Michael. You're going to... I mentioned a metaphor, an analogy for it earlier, but this is a brilliant collection of stuff. And so, Halloween being kind of close upon us again, do you go through rituals of watching movies and stuff every season?
Yeah, definitely. Anytime I can have like the night off, and on Halloween or like the pre-Halloween or whenever it's dated for the kiddos to come by and stuff.
Sure.
I'm totally psyched about that every year. I don't dress up or anything, but I do turn off all the lights, and I usually, watch. I'll definitely watch Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street, and like really loud and open the door really fast, and just have a good time with it. Like I've always had like a romance about Halloween as a child, and it's still kind of there. And
I think it's there for all of us, and I think that horror movies harken back to a different time, a nostalgic time, things that weren't as complex and things that we were easily impressed. But then you think about The Thing, it's just as good now as it was 30 years ago.
And the great thing about the horror genre in general is that, like I can even think back to a kid just going like into a video store where they had VHSs and it had that smell.
Yeah.
That plastic weird smell.
Yeah.
And it was always exciting to me. We're gonna go to movies, and we go out to go rent a movie. And you always, because you don't get to wander into the porn section too much.
That's right.
You get caught really quickly.
That's as close as we got.
But as a child of any age, you're always fascinated. You're always trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. You're a developing human being, and so the horror section was the next next best thing to like the porn section. In a way,
for sure, because it feels forbidden.
It's exactly.
It's violent.
It's forbidden. It stimulates things you don't understand yet. Yeah. You just kind of like, and you're just looking at box covers, being like, "Holy shit!" Like, like this is fucked up. Like all these creepy ass things. So it's a never-ending kind of romance for me with horror movies.
Me too, man. There's something really special about horror movies. There's something really special about Halloween. Mm-hmm. There's something really special about sitting down and chatting with the dude. So. Thanks so much for the suggestions. Thanks for the insight. Thanks for creeping me out, thinking about Rosemary's Baby and John Cassavetes being a fucking rapist.
Thanks for entertaining me. But
love it, dude. Thanks so much, Mike.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, there we have it. Another 6 horrific films for you guys to check out. If in fact you hadn't already seen Alien, if you hadn't already seen The Fly, if you hadn't already seen The Thing from 1982, the John Carpenter classic. But also you get some kind of more sensitive titles in there, maybe like Rosemary's Baby or Let the Right One In. These are all essential viewing, and it was a pleasure to talk to Trey and Michael about their list in such, again, a fine, spooky back booth at King B on a Monday evening. Well, that's it for Horror Movie Week at Show to V. I hope you guys appreciated the departure. It couldn't come at a better time with Halloween just a mere week away, and finally the cold weather approaching and driving into Austin. So thanks everybody for listening to Show to V with Mike G. No matter which of these fine 12 movies you're going to add to your essential viewing horror movie list this season, or if you're thinking if 100 Grand candy bars really are as good as they were when you were 10 years old, please keep dancing.